special meeting only at 7:30 p.m. This meeting's been advertised in accordance with law.
Roll call.
Committeeman Dean.
Here.
Committeeman Canyon.
Here.
Committeeman Marqueta.
Here.
Committeeman Spencer.
Here.
Mayor Barsney.
Here. Flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Well, we're here tonight in the open session to discuss bonding options, I guess, John, so hand it over to you, or you want to...
No, we're discussing the capital project plan. Right, yeah.
I had suggested in a phone call yesterday, 2 days ago, that we should have two plans in place. One, you should have a plan for capital items, what you need. And we went over this back at budget time. We went through the lengthy list, had the department heads come in and talk to us about everything, what their needs were. I think you need to have that list and you need to prioritize what needs to be done this year, what could be done next year, what could be pushed off 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line. I think once you have that in place and you know what the dollars want to be, then you have to come up with a debt plan of how you're going to turn around and pay down these items. So I think tonight, if we could nail down what the dollar expenses are that we want to do over the next several years, that's the perfect place to start. And then I can turn around and get you something of, here's what your debt would be in 2018, 19, 20, and how you would address it, and what impact it would have to your local tax rate. But I think the first starting point is to put that plan in place for the capital items. And again, it's a plan. It doesn't mean, if we do a plan tonight, that doesn't mean you're locked into that and that's the only thing that you could do for the next 4 years if you do a 4-year plan. It is, we got everything within the budget this year on sheets 40, on the sheets 40, to put it on and to show you what the list is of items that we know need to be addressed. Okay, if you did it all this year and you went out for a serial bond, Mr. Drakewitz is going to talk to you about the difference one more time between serial bonds and loss participation notes. But if you did it all this year, would you go after a temporary 1-year note, or would you go and put it into one big pot and borrow it and pay it off over the life of the useful life of the items? So again, I think tonight, if we start with the capital plan and get that in place and talk about the items that we're looking to purchase over the next several years, or this year and the next few years, I think that's the best starting point that you can have, and then we can turn around and discuss how we're going to pay that off when we meet next.
John, maybe one thing maybe we could talk about too is before we talk about or after we talk about future plans. Maybe talk about because I have the audit here. She's not an auditor, so I have a little system and everything opinion. But the thing I was looking for was what have we authorized already that we haven't issued any debt for? So I wanted to sort of something to talk about where we are today. Forget the future. Where we are today in terms of unauthorized bonds that are out there, unauthorized that we haven't issued money for, or how have you been paying for? But I think you don't have any notes outstanding right now. Notes outstanding, no bonds outstanding. But how have you been paying for your capital improvements over the last couple of years? So you can take us back a little bit. Maybe your audit has some pages here that have useful, so we can see what you have currently.
Right.
They do have unauthorized debt from previous years. How much is left on
Well,
that?
that was going to be one of the things that I suggested that go into the debt plan, because you take a step back. In 2015, there were 2 ordinances that were approved. One issued $38,000 of debt. The other issued $760,000 of debt.
Authorized.
Right.
And what was that for?
The first one was for road improvements. 2015-02 was road improvements.
For $38,000?
I have $38,000 remaining. It could have been more.
Okay.
think that
I think it
was
was
for
just-
remainder of Fremont Road,
Okay.
possibly.
Okay, and then 1503, ordinance 1503 was just various improvements.
That was numerous items, a whole list of them.
That was $760,000.
Correct.
So the total amount of projects you've authorized, but not have issued debt on, is $798,000. And I'm assuming that you spent the money on these projects, or maybe not?
Yes, much of it, yes. Not all of it.
There's about $325,000 that hasn't been spent on ordinance 1503.
How much?
Do you
$324,000.
guys understand what that means, that it was authorized but not issued?
Mhm.
Okay.
So, and I guess the question I would have on the $324,000 is not spent. Is the intention that it will be spent, but those are real live projects, or have the projects not moved forward and may not be spent?
As of right now, they're live projects. They potentially, the ones that are remaining, definitely 200,000 of it is for roads, so that's not going anywhere. The remaining was for a fuel company station. Yeah, there's some various things that I think are still viable projects that we would want to leave that money sitting there, but we can go over that.
So it looks like, based upon a quick thought, that you have $798,000 of projects that are on the books, you spent the money on, but you have not yet borrowed money on it yet. So that's sort of our starting point.
Correct. And that's something you would factor into a debt plan when you start to put together the debt plan. You know, let's raise this money, because right now what you're doing is you're pulling money in from other funds to temporarily pay for that project. Until you issue that debt, you don't have the money to return back to those other funds. So you're borrowing from your left pocket to pay expenses out of your right. Once you issue that debt and that money comes in from the bank, then you'll have the money to give back to wherever you borrowed the money from for those projects. There's a few, the biggest one is your other trust. You have a big interfund with other trusts that you owe $900,000 over the trust fund. So you have to issue that money so you can start to send that money back to where it belongs and finish paying for the project itself.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
So we're not only looking at bonding these future things, we're looking at actually, if I understand you correctly, issuing the actual bond for this other stuff that you just talked about.
That's correct. We discussed this last time because
Yeah.
we went back and we said, well, what's still out there? And, on top of all of the other projects that you are considering, the police cars, the fire engines, all that, there's still this that needs to be raised so that you can fund the remainder of the road, the pumping fuel station, all that.
So, previous committee authorized all this, but never funded it.
Yes, sir.
So now we're stuck with funding it.
Yes, sir. It'd be the same if you went and did an ordinance to buy police cars. You put down your 5%, and then you never went out to the bank to go issue that debt, and then you just walked away for it and left it for future years.
All right, so important to know, before we decide on any future stuff, how much would the payback be on bonding and something like that?
If you look at your, we have a candidate take the time to look at it, John confirmed it, obviously, a great job organizing it. And C-9, for the audit report, we laid out with that $798,000, where it was authorized, but the debt has not been issued, so it's C9. And then you go to the report on C8, it shows that there's $1,015,000 outstanding on current bonds that you have out there already, right? So you have $1,015,000 of current bonds.
That we're paying for.
That we're already paying for.
Paying for.
Right, it's already in the budget.
It's already in the budget.
Right.
And you have $798,000 of unfunded projects that you need to account for also. And then you get to the third piece, which is new projects that you're considering, right? So first is the current debt you have outstanding, and it's basically $80,000 per year of principal, not interest, in principal, $80,000. Plus your debt you haven't issued yet, that's number 2 on projects you spent money on. The third is items you haven't started at all, which is just
Now, what about, so you said 798,000 is what we need to bond for. What about this 900,000 that we owe to the trust? Now, what trust are we talking about?
COA.
Oh, COA trust?
COA.
So we borrowed from COA?
Right.
Okay.
Accounting procedures allows you to borrow money from one fund as long as you put it back.
Right,
Okay?
right.
It sits on your balance sheet. I think we have the recommendation in there as well, that interfunds need to be cleaned up and returned back to their original funding source. A lot of places do it, especially when they're short on cash and they need to make school district payments. They'll borrow money, and then when the taxes come in, they'll send the money back. All right? But in order to keep that cash flow going, they'll borrow from other funds. When you don't issue substantial debt like you have out there for those projects, you run into a cash flow problem, and the cash has to come from somewhere. Because if you think about it, general capital fund is a self-contained fund. All the money in there is earmarked for something specific. Right? There should be no fund balance in that fund. You either spend the money or you don't, but how that money comes in depends upon how your ordinance is made. So if you say we need to go out and borrow the money to do this project, and then you don't borrow the money, well, you're going to have to borrow the money from another fund that you have temporarily until you get that money in and can send it back.
So what would happen, though, would be fairly simple. When you take care of the 798, let's say for argument's sake, you do a note. The note's very simple to do, get done in a couple of weeks. Once you get the 798 in, then you're going to be sending a lot of that money to pay off the inter-fund transfer that John mentioned, that $900,000. So it'll do two things at once, right? It'll make you whole on your capital, and you'll be able to take care of the adjustment that was done.
So I think what we need to know, in order to make a decision going forward, is how much is it gonna cost to pay back the 798 yearly? How much in our next budget
Right.
do we have to account for in order to pay back the 798?
Okay, let's talk about that now.
But hold on, before you go there, it's the 798, which I understand, but now, do we have an additional 900 we gotta pay back too?
No. That
Okay.
is just borrowed from
Yeah.
the fund.
What do they do with all this money? Because this is why we're stuck bonding again, because we're buying stuff that hasn't been bought in 8 and 10 years.
Right.
Well, let's go back. If in 2014, they would have went out and got these bond anticipation notes, you would be addressing that on an annual basis in your budget.
Yeah.
You'd at least be addressing interest at this point.
Right.
You can go 3 years without having to pay a principal payment, and you can just roll those bond anticipation notes over year after year after year. By year 3, now, you have to pay something back on principal. So when you say we want to address, what is it going to cost us to address? If you went out today or tomorrow and got that $798,000, you wouldn't have to pay any principal on it for 3 more years. Okay, but then in the third year or fourth year, we'd have to start making a principal payment within the budget. So you can either be aggressive and say, okay, let's divide it in 10, and we're going to pay it off over 10 years, because you can only roll those over for 10 years. All right, so you can say, well, we'll put another $79,000 in the budget and address that on an annual basis. And then the only thing that would fluctuate would be your interest costs. So, but that's the debt plan. That's part 2 of, let's encompass all the costs so that you can see what you need for the town. Because you still need, whether you have this 798 out there or not, you still need police vehicles. There's still a fire truck that's been discussed and talked about. You still have that school building that you had asked about, whether or not that. There's still projects that need to be done, and you can't, you push them off so long, but eventually it's going to be time to pay the money.
Yeah, so, let's then discuss, before we look at this, the 798, let's
make
round it
ourselves
to
whole.
800,000 to make us whole, like you say, Bob. And what is it gonna cost? And then how does that affect our cap rate? Does that go against, is that excluded from the?
Outside, it's debt.
Outside.
It's outside the cap.
Yeah.
So it's not subject to the 2% cap.
So let's talk about this, the $800,000, because that's the current number, right? These ordinances were done in 2015. So you could probably get some money in 15, a little more money in 16. And now the number is probably getting to a size where he's going to start saying, I need money to make all these things balance, right? And it's probably a good idea, maybe not in year 1, but by year 2, which is where we are now. You issue a note, participation note, say why it might be considered a great idea. So you can replenish your fund that you think you're borrowing money from, right? So looking at that, it'll clean the old stuff up for most of it. So you have some choices on $800,000. But based upon the size, 800,000, which is not really, I consider for $2 billion to a bond or something. The reason being is that when you do a bond, it's a long-term instrument over 10, 15, 20 years. It costs probably $40,000 to $50,000 issuing that bond. Because there's a lot of outside fees besides, the order fee and the line fee. It could be movie rating agency, having some significant publication costs that have to get done. Even if you were doing it fairly economically, which the town would also want to do, it's still going to be around $40,000 to $50,000.
So what size bond?
About at least $2 million for the bond, even that's on the thin side, low side. So typically a town would do a note, especially initially, because why you do notes usually is if you have this project, and you do other projects that are considered, you would group them together over time to get them to be a bigger number. Once you get to be a bigger number, then you spread the cost of that $40,000, $50,000 out over a bigger base than if you did just a little bit. So, what would be, if you're doing the $800,000 as an example, you would most definitively do a note. If you do a note, as John has mentioned, the first 2 years that you roll it are free. We're going to have no pay down. So, for example, we did the note today in 2017. 2018, there'd be no principal pay down required. In 2019, there'd be no principal pay down required. In 2020, you have to have a sort of formulaic principal pay down of that $800,000, $930,000. Not a lot. You want the minimum number. Okay, so for the minimum, you have an interest rate today around 11%. So you get $800,000, 10% be $80,000, right? So 1% $8,000. 1.5% you say $12,000. You have the $12,000 interest payment to make only in 2018. That's the minimum. The thought that we start talking here about is how do we want to take care of that $800,000 and other potential needs? Or potentially even 3 years from now, 4 years from now, not to say you don't make it visualize now. Because you may want to say, hey, I want to pay this, so I don't have to do any bond. If you're able to do that, then you have to make sure you pay off, as John mentioned, in 10 years. So that means if they take $80,000, you level it out per year. How does that fit into your overall debt picture? So before we make a decision as to how we want to pay off over time, we have to look at your future plans. But at the minimum, right now, I think it would be totally clear that at the very minimum, you would note for the $800,000. You would replenish your accounts per year, which would then give you a 12-month cycle to figure out, hey, what do I want to do, what may I want to do next year? And give you more time to figure out what do I want to do with the list that you're talking about now. And maybe if you project out 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, what may I want to do then? Because you may say, as a discovery body, I may want to do bonds in year 8 because I have $800,000, I've got this other list of things about, and I think maybe years 4 and 5, 6 down the road, there might be some other projects that are likely to happen. So that you only go to the bond market once in 10 years instead of multiple times. So today, whether you do bonds or notes, or bonds in particular, you wouldn't really decide that until you really get a good grasp of the overall picture. Usually, if you did a bond, you probably would name that over the life of the asset. I look at your assets that you're considering here. I don't have the life of the asset of 2015, but your asset life might only be 10 or 12 years. That's pretty short. Some of the items you're doing are not long-term projects. So obviously, if you do roads have a longer life, depending upon what the engineer is doing, whether it's resurfacing or reconstruction. Resurfacing will be 10 years, reconstruction will be 20. But the reason I mentioned those as an example is because you have to look at the blend of what you're doing to determine what your payback would be if you did a bond transaction. You have to ensure within the life of the assets. So if the average blend is 12, then you couldn't go out for more than 12 years. If it's 10 to 10, 15 to 15, you can't go out any more than that. So that would have to be looked into with the overall effect that you have on your budget, right? On your budget with the order, we can do some numbers run to figure out what could be done with the least impact on your budget. So that's really the time frame. So on 800,000 right now, we're doing that.
So it sounds like we have two numbers we need. If for the 800,000, if in next year's budget, we just wanted to pay the interest, what would that number be?
That's $12,000.
And then what would it be if we wanted to pay the principal and interest?
You have the flexibility to pay any principal that you wanted to get that right to your budget. But the most you would ever put in would be, $80,000 for principal plus the $12,000. That would be the most you would do.
But let's say, you said at one point we don't have an option. So let's say we're at that point where we got to start paying the principal. What would the principal pay back?
Well, if you're looking at an $800,000 bond over 10 years, at $80,000 a year.
80,000 plus the 12.
Plus the 12 for the interest, right?
Of course, that would decline, needs to decline
Right.
over time, you pay that amount off every year, as long as interest rates.
So about a point and a half, penny and a half.
As of now.
Yeah, just for this, 1.5 cents, which would be $40 on a $275,000 home.
You know, I understand we're probably always going to have bonding for road projects and things like that. And I really don't have a problem with that because everybody who drives on the road should pay that over the course of 10 or 15 years. One set of taxpayers in 1 year see them get stuck with it. And I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I would like to see the township get to the point where that's the only thing you're bonding for, is something huge like that, or a fire truck. How do we get away from it? I want to get out of this hole we're in, where we have people, not blaming them for asking, but, you know, we get stuck with buying 3 police vehicles in a year. This really, we need these vehicles, we got to do something. It really bothers me to have to bond to do that. And then we're down to an ambulance, maybe some dump trucks, utility trucks. These things, I really am not comfortable with bonding for that type of an item. How do we ever dig ourselves out of this hole that we're only really bonding for these, road fixings and things like that, which we're always going to have?
Here's what I could suggest here, and step in and correct me if you think I'm wrong. I have plenty of municipalities who do it with bond anticipation notes over the 10 years, but they stay on a structured payment that they know they're paying, they put a plan in place and they stick to it. So if in year 1 they're paying back $80,000, year 2 they're also paying back $80,000. They're keeping it level, nothing spiking or really dropping the rate. One falls off, one comes on. You have a continual capital plan so that you're never in a situation where you have to buy everything all at once again. You seem to be in a situation like that here. There needs to be a plan in place to say, okay, I know police cars are only going to last 3 or 4 years. 3 years?
3 years.
3 years. So you need to be on a cycle of lease payments, which is outside of bonding, because if they're just regular vehicles, you need to have that built into the budget annually.
That's where
you're going.
That's where I want to go.
In the past,
Now, the reason we can't do that this time is because I looked into the lease purchase.
Okay?
Is because they need all the equipment for them as well, and we still wouldn't have the money to buy all the equipment, so that's the only way we can do it through the bond, is to fit it all in. But I would like to get to that point where we have lease purchase agreements, 3 years, we pay them off, pay them the buck, and we're done, you know.
But there's going to be some pain in the early years, like where we're at now. These are your early years, you took over
Right.
last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be that pain in place, and that's where the tough decisions are involved. And thankfully, you're on that side of the table, and I'm not. But you have to make that decision when it comes down to it.
Well, I just answer the question, we heard the phrase, lease purchase or something. The only thing that, you could bond everything, or in a bond where even vehicles, as long as it's not a passenger vehicle. So we're referring to
SUVs.
Yeah, but
SUVs are.
I want to get
That's
away
what we're-
from
that's what we're
doing
referring
that.
to.
I'm not comfortable doing that. That's me.
I heard the word lease purchase.
Well, in the past, we've leased our
No,
passenger vehicles,
lease
we
purchasing,
have-
yeah, is technically a borrow. But,
But at least
but it's got a set time, in my mind, a set time period. I know at the end of 3 years, we own it, we pay a buck and we're done, and vehicles
Let's
are.
look at that a little bit, if I may, if you don't mind, because I think it comes down to discipline of the CFO and the governing body as to what you're actually doing, because if you're able to put a schedule together, you know your SUV, which is bondable, okay? It doesn't, when I say bondable, that's a big word in terms of what it may connote, but it really is a capital item that you could pay off in 3 years. You go, or 5 or 3, whatever you want to do, but my view has always been that lease purchase costs more because the hidden interest rate is going to be more than 1.5%. It's going to be like 3%, 4%. We don't even know what it is sometimes because they just say a number. It's hard to find a number. So you're trying to be as most economical as you can. If you have a tight rein on your ship, you'll be able to do that police vehicle over 3 years at 1.5%. It's just a thought.
Right.
Because you don't, only thing you need to lease purchase is a passenger vehicle, not an SUV. It's a special rule in the model.
Yeah, I understand that.
Now, with the SUVs, are they a 5-year cap
Yes.
instead of the 3-year for a
You
police
pay
car?
over 3 years. Why? You can always pay off
Right.
quicker, but it's a
But being
5-year
outside the
item.
cap is 5, right?
It's a 5-year item, correct. You can pay off quicker.
I'm following you, but I just am not following you. You know,
Think of it as a 3 or a 5-year car loan.
yeah, that's how I am
Yeah.
trying to think of it. But
So, and you're all
we have it all pulled up into this one bonding, though.
Well, we keep track, your CFO will keep track of when you raise the money to pay down the bond anticipation note in the budget. Keep track of what bonds those are gonna go to. And then it's our job to make sure that it's being done right. So you have eyes looking at it to make sure this is the plan you put in place. And the plan you put in place is the budget. So we'll be talking about this next year as how much are we gonna pay. And it's incumbent upon me to say, hey, remember that conversation we had back in June? You wanted to pay these off over 3 years. So if it's $180,000, you need to put $60,000 in the budget.
But here's where I guess, then I know next year we're going to, we're off the police SUVs here, but whether it's a fire company, next year we're going to have another need to purchase, and I don't want to be here next year saying, well, let's roll that into a bond. That's what I'm trying to get away
That's
from.
where I come in and I put a debt plan in place for you.
Right.
And say,
And you have to fund it.
you know, next meeting, I'll know what you want to do, in what year you want to do it, and then I'll try to put something together where you're not seeing the rates fluctuate up and down.
Right.
We keep it consistent, yet we can still pay it all off.
Well, you know what I'm looking for, so you're going to be able to come with that plan for me. I don't know what you guys want. I'm going to talk.
Well, let me ask you a question now. So that, we need the 3 SUVs, right? But, so you're gonna work with the police department to know what the life is?
That's
on the
already in the works.
That's all done.
Yeah,
Yeah, that-
80,000
Oh,
or something like
So
that.
what, so every year we're gonna need what?
I don't think it was
After this
No, it
first
was
series,
132 or 133, I think. wasn't it?
And
what's
that's
that?
even better.
You should be like a 2-car
Three.
replacement every year.
Yeah, but what about, like, what's the life of the remaining ones? That's my question. What's the life of the remaining police vehicles? When are they up?
On the schedule of the amount of
Every
guys that we
day.
have, we
I
should
mean, we're
have
really
at least
dire
a 2-car
straits.
replacement.
That's what I'm saying.
So I know next year we're going to have
We're not gonna bond?
Yeah.
Every year, how many?
You should have a minimum of a 2-car replacement in the budget.
So that's where I want to head, so that's
You
what,
can't do anything
Doesn't
with that
have to
now
be
anyway,
SUVs.
Right.
Because it's not in the budget for you to spend this year
Mhm.
to go out and get a lease for a police car. Next year, you want to put that in, that's next year's problem. We can't do anything with.
Yeah, no, I agree, but you're putting together a plan, right? So in your plan,
For which you're going to have debt for through bond anticipation notes, not leases. So if you go out and lease a police car.
Forget about
it's not
leases.
gonna be in my thing.
let's say we have to buy one. You're gonna have to make sure you know how many we need a year in order to do this. Well, I don't know, where are you gonna get that information?
Well, your department head should be.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We've talked about it pretty much. This year's an oddity, we've got to do these 3. Then we're really anticipating one a year, hopefully forever, or until another governing body comes in and screws it up like it apparently did last
Okay,
time.
so in order for him to do this capital projects plan, he needs to know that, one a year, right?
No.
No?
And I only say no because when we're looking at the capital plan, that's only bondable debt. You know, if you want to get a police car each year, that's fine, but that's going to be inside your cap because you can't borrow for that.
Well, we could, SUVs.
SUV.
I'm talking cars only.
Yeah.
Cars I'm not going to touch in my debt plan because
We're talking SUVs.
They're probably
We're
gonna be
talking
SUVs.
Well, I
SUVs.
think going forward, they're going to all be SUVs.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring that up. Yeah.
Let's just talk about tracking things a little bit, and he'll track it for sure, but it all starts with the bond ordinance, okay? Let's say we didn't move bond ordinance this year, right? It can be done in 2 different ways, but hearing how this board is thinking, I think I know what you would want to have. If you would have an ordinance that would have, say, 10 specific line items in the ordinance, not grouped together in a bunch, but separated. we'd have section, 1A would be police vehicles. 1B would be, trailer. 1C would be whatever it would be, and we'd have the useful life right next to that number. So we'll have, sometimes people group together, we could separate them all out, which is no big deal. You'd have the number right next to that item, so you'll know this is a 5-year item maximum, 10-year item maximum. And then when you go through it, you'll be able to coordinate with the CFO and the governing body, say, John, that one that was in 5 years, show me how we're doing that piece. How are we doing this piece? How are we doing that piece? So you can have an exact idea.
Oh, that's,
That's what you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, now you're starting
I
to,
don't want my SUV to be spent done over 8 years.
Yes.
7 years. Throw it all together, you blend it together. We can
now you're talking my language.
we can analyze it very clearly as to how much we're paying for each item.
And then we have to
Break
determine
it down.
which items we want to
Pay off or...
pay each, which items we want to spend on each year. So you would need a priority list, I guess, from us too, right?
No, you would give them the list. The
Right.
list would have, let's say, 10 items. If you wanted only-
Oh, then you come back to us with the cost of each one and
Yeah, then you would say, I want to do these.
this one this year, in the next budget, yeah.
These two next.
Got you. Yeah,
This way you save, you could say, ordinance time.
Right.
If you know, I want to use 10 items. Of course, you have to put a 5% down payment down. So you have to make sure you have enough in the capital budget to put 5% down.
Mhm.
But I would break them all down, it's clear, and you could do as many ones as you clear in terms of including it. Doesn't mean you're going to do it this year. You can do it next year one. But it'll be clear.
Just
I've
creative
never
report
seen that,
writing.
But I defer to the bonding authority at that point and say, if it's okay with John, it's okay with me.
So-
We'll delineate it. You'll do-
I've never seen it, but
No, we're going to have to do
I
a
know
police
you-
car, we're going to do like three police cars.
Yeah, and I don't know that I necessarily was looking for that to be in the ordinance, but that's what I was looking for someone to be able to sit down and explain to me how we're retiring this debt.
that's
So,
what I plan
yeah,
on having
yeah.
for next meeting.
I don't mind doing it that way, but,
I can't
yeah.
tell you what next meeting's going
Yeah.
to hold until we decide what
Yeah.
we're going to do.
So we know that we have 800,000 to begin with.
The first thing, we gotta get rid of this one that we got left with, so.
So on the 800,000, John, I guess you and I will get a copy of the ordinance, and see how that was put together. It may not be broken down as I said, it could be all bunched together, and we will know which was what related to what. So I'm throwing about the future, we were here at 15, so it may have been all put together, then we'll have to figure out how that could be done, put together. If there's anything new you do, make it more clear.
and then it doesn't sound like we're gonna do anything on the next items until he comes back with that list. Right? He's gonna come back with a list on each,
So
you're gonna group them, you're gonna tell us what's gonna cost, and then we're gonna decide,
No, he's giving me the estimate numbers already, estimate.
But are
Right, but you're gonna-
be doing all this? That's what we need to know.
are we doing all of it?
Right, that's...
No, I thought we were gonna find that out when he's gonna come back with that, finance plan, or no?
Well, we need to know then what we're, to go forward.
Or we're bonding
doing.
plus this.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were gonna tell us each one, and then we were gonna decide then.
Well, there's a couple things, let's talk about more detail, but it's
Yeah.
good question, right? You have a list, let's say, of 10 items, right? And then 10 items. Each one of those, I can assign, properly the useful life.
Right,
In other words, we'll know that's a 5-year item, 10-year item, et cetera.
exactly, right.
So I would put that down as useful life. So that should be done by tomorrow. And then the question would be, what should be the next step? Because how you pay it back, you have choices, right? You can pay it back over, if it's a 5-year item, you can pay it back only in interest, or you can pay it back and one fifth of it off of your 5-year item. We need to have some direction from the governing body tonight as to how you want that plan to be presented to you. Or if John has a different thought as to how to give you options. But I don't think if you would have too many options and you sort of go crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So maybe the first option would be, if we did all these things today, and we paid them over the useful life of that asset, but over 10 years rather, either over the life of the asset, it's 5, but no longer than 10. So if it's a 20-year item, it'll be 10 years, right? Because we were trying to make believe we're doing it over 10 years, no bond for now, right? So to give you an example of what it would cost. Is that an idea? We just go over 10 years,
Well,
4 or 5, and see how much you have to pay back?
I,
Decide this, or not?
well, I'll let the committee decide, but I'd rather work it back and say, how much are we willing to spend? How much are we willing to spend in next year's budget and the year after?
You telling us?
And then we can work back to see what fits in that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, to me, last meeting, I think we were around, like, 400 and something thousand or something. Or it was, said it was like 4 cents or something like that, right? I don't think we're willing to spend that. So, I think if we could come up as a committee, what we think is a comfortable, we're already at 1.5, right, cents. Okay? So now we gotta determine how much are we willing to bond for in next year's budget? What are we comfortable with as far as the payback, or whatever's in the budget? I know we could pay back just interest or interest and principal, but I think we gotta come up with some kind of number instead of just saying, give me a number on everything. That's just my
I
comment.
don't wanna beat this up too much. I think you have to take the whole picture of what everything's gonna cost you going into next year, right? Not just the 800,000, not just the police cars. If you do anything else this year, it's gonna have a value to you next year. It's gonna have a cost if you're gonna pay it back over the time period you're allotted. If you say, I don't wanna take those 2 years of free, not having to pay back any principal. I don't want to do that. I want to start paying it back immediately. I don't want to kick the can down the road, right? That's the popular saying. Let's start addressing it now. And that's something that I'll put in place and have for next meeting. But you do have some options. There are options available. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to raise all of this through taxation. All right? You take right now, and I'm not going to get into the whole philosophical understanding of the deferred school tax, but you take $250,000 of that out each year to pay for roads. That was a 5-year plan of $1,250,000, and that's almost over. That only has 2 more years, 2 more budget cycles to go. So you'll have money freed up where you can take some of that and start to pay down this debt that we're talking about tonight. You have options, and I'm going to present those to you come next meeting. And if you say, I want to keep it at no more than 1 cent on the tax rate to pay principal, I'll work that in. I'll work those numbers for you and really get the schedule in order and show you how that's going to be attainable.
So tell them exactly what you need from us tonight.
I need to know what your plan is going to be, at least through the end of this year, as far as capital items that you're going to go out and get. Police cars, the SUVs, we know that's one of them. What else is out there that needs to be done in 2017, must be done? What's the priority of Greenwich Township this year?
DPW building?
Well, the DPW building, we gotta
Binding
get a note,
insurance
and
back,
then
right?
we're gonna get a return from the insurance company.
Exactly. See, now
So-
that's where we're starting to mold this, right? So if you start paying that down, and you start getting money in from the insurance company, you can take those insurance proceeds and pay the note off
Right.
next year. So if you took a 1-year grace period and said, let's collect all the insurance money, right, and then we'll use all that insurance money to pay it, you have 1 year where maybe you don't want to make a payment towards that bond or bond anticipation note. You can say, we'll just pay interest this year, and then we'll bring all those insurance dollars in and pay down as much as we can with insurance in the following.
Joe, how much?
Isn't that like 160?
Great on number.
It's what?
It's an unforeseen number.
Well, if the building's gonna cost $210, we had replacement cost, I would imagine we're gonna get
Correct. And
$210.
we've already, once again, we've already received some of that money and used it to replace equipment and stuff.
So where do we get the insurance money for the equipment?
What's that?
What happened to the insurance money from the equipment? Was this
We
stuff?
only got cash value for some of it. The fire tanker truck was a full replacement cost. That money had been sent back already and was reimbursed us out of the emergency appropriation. Just like we only got cash value for any of the road department equipment. That was not replacement cash, replacement cost, only the emergency equipment and the building.
You know where Chuck's being full value for. The older Chuck's being full value.
Right, yes, you
So-
wouldn't do that.
just so we don't have any misinformation out there. When we talk cent and everything, sometimes people get confused. They think, this is a tax increase. We're not saying any of this is a tax. We're not going to know anything until next year's budget. I mean, it depends on how we fund these things.
Yes, it depends on not just how you fund them, but how you're going to pay that funding off.
Right.
If you're gonna be aggressive and pay it down rather than wait until your grace period's over, so to speak, you're gonna be aggressive and you're gonna know what those numbers are gonna be. It's easy enough. Take the number divided by 10 or 5 in the police vehicle instance, so you'll know exactly how much you have to pay back next year to stay on that aggressive pay down. And then from there, I can say, well, if a tax point is $50,000 or $60,000, 59.8 I think it is, right? That raises the budget 1 cent. That raises the local tax rate 1 cent.
Right.
Right? If you're comfortable with that, because you know, hey, everybody's got skin in the game on this, we're gonna put that in there. It raises the tax rate 1 cent. You get the $60,000 in, and say we need to come up with 90,000. Well, then how do we come up with the additional 30? You know, we put in how much into capital improvement fund this year?
Oh, 100.
100,000,
Do
yeah.
we want to put 100,000 in next year, or do we want to scale that back to maybe 70 and use the other 30 to make up the difference? You know what I mean? So you already have your budget established, and we can figure out how we're going to work with the numbers to keep the tax increase in line with what this governing body is fine with doing.
Okay.
But that's a budget question for next year's budget, but again, you'll have the plan in place
Right.
for options available to you come next week when we meet again.
Okay.
Numbers game.
It is. It's a balancing act. So where do I want to come up with the money?
So we have 3 vehicles on order. Chief, when are they due in? So what was the emergency thing that we just said?
We didn't do it. They tabled it for this meeting.
But when's the date you gotta have it in by?
July 7th.
We don't order by July 7th, we can't order until you get into the 18th, so next 3 months before they start taking over.
2018 months, yeah, well, okay.
Well, I think we all agree that the SUVs are needed, so.
And then along with that would be the police, the radios or handheld radios, Rich, 22,000? Or is that radios?
Yeah, that's a rough number because I have to get radios and test them out, which I don't even think is going to solve the problem yet. So I'm kind of not totally on board with what we're going to get with that, with that number.
Okay, so
Did they fix the repeaters
As I
yet?
said before, the towers have to be replaced.
Right.
Before radios can be replaced. And that's not pretty much township problem.
I just want to, well, one thing, the thing is we gotta be able to facilitate that. He can place that order by July 7th. We're gonna be able to do that. With that,
I've given one piece of information. I thought the other piece was already.
I think everything is put together.
You need
So
to
it's just a matter
declare an
of-
emergency because it is a safety emergency.
Yeah.
You're allowed to declare that emergency. You go by once you have a department head sign off that this is an emergency. That gives you authority to go out.
That's all done already, I believe.
Then you have to turn around and put it in your budget as a budget emergency because you need the line item to spend it against. That's where I think everything came to a grinding halt.
I think everything's done. I think
I don't
everything,
know
You
if
have
that,
to pass a resolution.
well, you know, I mean, other than that, so
Yeah.
for next week, we have what we need to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
yes. And then you have to do the ordinance, which will take the emergency away, so you don't have to raise it in the budget next year. Your funding vehicle is now your ordinance, not your budget.
And we do that this year, you were,
That ordinance, it needs to be done, yeah.
So
What else
by
are we looking
next,
at?
That's all.
by next Wednesday, will it be enough for him to have the okay to call the dealer up and say,
If you pass the emergency for, if you
Resolution.
sign off on the emergency.
next
you're good to go
Wednesday?
now.
Well, can we
Let's just pass it tonight.
Yeah,
Pass that tonight?
Yeah.
Mike's not here with the,
We don't have the emergency resolution
Right.
with us.
You
gotta
Put it into the budget, but again, as long as you signed off that, hey, this is, because I sent something to Kim, said fill in the blank.
Did you get the letter that I,
From Mike Lavery's office.
yes, that I addressed it?
Done. Go out, find it.
okay. We'll double check with Lavery in the morning and then
You have
let's,
to pass the emergency.
let's do it,
So
okay?
you're authorizing him to,
He's authorized, yeah. Through him and the attorney, with the letters sufficient.
so Rich, you do your homework this week and, you know, and we'll...
Have them ordered by tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow morning.
Black and white. So, okay, along with that, well, let's stick with,
As soon as you put the order in, you have to let us know, because we put that amount into the budget as an emergency. And and then you'll know exactly what the ordinance needs to be.
Okay.
You do the ordinance. And then by doing the ordinance, it gets rid of the emergency.
Well, I don't think we have to guess, yeah, we're taking that out,
The
definitely.
vehicles that I'm ordering.
What's that?
The 22,000.
Yeah.
He's unsure what he wants.
On the radio? All right, now we got,
There'll be two separate policies.
The resolution had to state the amount of the emergency.
Yeah, but does that include radios for the cars?
We were just gonna round it. Is that okay?
What's that?
Does that include radios for the cars?
Includes everything. Huh? Can we
Radios for the new cars?
lose this F-450 utility truck? They're reportable. The 132 covers the cars fully equipped, that's why we call it all these programs. I'm amazing about this, Kate. I think this one's,
And then we'll cancel
let's finish up the police.
okay.
Okay, Mayor, let's finish up the police, if we don't mind, and we can move on. Mobile video recorder, that's for the 3 vehicles? Or one of the 3?
Well,
Yes, so,
Okay.
isn't that included in 132?
well, it's included for cameras, however, I'm going to, what that number is wanting to go to a mobile download. So, right now, we've got the old mobile recording that has a disc in the car, we have to pull it out,
No.
and then we have to, I have to download that.
So this is for your wireless then?
So it's a wireless download, put it on the
Okay.
building, which
Comes to the station
I
and
spoke
downloads.
to Joe about, and he can mount it on the building. It's really small antenna.
That's not a lot of money.
And on the department, when I talked to Joel, they said it could be.
That's not a lot of money.
So, that shouldn't be a problem.
What do you think?
All right, tablets for vehicles, the 6250?
That's just a luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
vehicles now, yes.
This one?
So,
I think we gotta separate
the
luxury
vehicles
from
that were
necessity.
not replaced, they're still included.
Okay.
There's now that are.
I thought the downloads?
Yeah.
Okay.
Diesel.
So committee, hey guys,
What?
That's not an emergency.
All right.
That's
Goes
true.
with the 3 vehicles you're replacing. So if you
Right.
need 3 tablets, 3 of those tablets can go with the vehicle. If you're gonna need another 9 tablets or 8 tablets, that has to be done separately.
So,
Now, we're talking about now, these items that are gonna go into,
Into these 3 vehicles that you're purchasing.
Right, the items that are gonna go into the vehicle, so speaking with, Tim and Kathleen, I rounded that number to 145, that's gonna totally equip all 3 vehicles with everything that they need, the computers, the cameras, everything.
Does that include the tablet? We have a list here. The emergency is going to include the police SUV for 132
The tablets for those 3 SUVs.
and the tablet. Is that the only 2 things that are part of the vehicle? Or is the mobile
that's the 6,000?
The mobile recorder is included in that 145. It's gonna be-
145,000, 3 cars totally equipped.
So the mobile recorder.
Where's that number? It's in here.
Mobile recorder is for the other
He's
cars.
doing this
Is that part
and
of the
this.
emergency?
No.
Oh, you added that to that, is that what you did?
Yeah, then for the 3 right there.
Only the tablets and the SUV are part of the emergency.
Just the SUVs, not even the tablets, because the tablets are the tablets on other vehicles that need to be
Oh,
replaced.
so it's only
Then
SUV.
why are we making it 145? I'm lost.
Yeah.
I think he's talking total bonding, we're talking about emergency purchase. The emergency purchase is just the 3 vehicles.
What I had put initially was what, 132?
Yes.
And then I had to go back and get the figures re-updated because last time I got them,
Okay.
those expired.
Oh, okay, okay.
Gotcha.
What's the new number?
145?
145 was a high number.
145 for the SUVs?
Yeah, and that includes the wireless for tablets.
I think the other cars are
So what, that means we get rid of tablets?
No, they're with the tablets.
That's all.
so Rich, you still gotta
So we
keep the
could do-
mobile
we could-
video
I think-
recorder, that's not in there, is it?
We're
Cool.
gonna, yes, you're gonna keep that, but it's not an emergent item.
Okay. Right.
And that includes the video
Okay, so are we
recorder?
done discussing the emergency?
No, because I'm moved, I'm,
That's not part of the emergency.
On the paperwork you're seeing is
This is part of the
132, but
emergency
actually
vehicle,
we're
the
rounding
tablets are
up.
going in the SUV, so they're allowed to be in the emergency.
Right, because it's just.
okay, so we could just cross this out.
Yes.
No,
Without the
yeah,
information
yeah.
in it, yeah. So if you need a tablet in the vehicle, you need a radio in the vehicle, you need lights on the vehicle.
Okay,
That's
so-
all part of the emergency.
So for our bond list, I'm looking at firearms at 11,000. Okay, we'll go into the note or whatever we're doing. The tablets for the vehicles?
Tablets for the vehicles that are not, that we currently have right now that we're not replacing.
Okay.
Still good vehicles.
So this 6,625 is for other than the
New ones.
new,
The remaining fleet.
remaining
So it's
police, so
still
we gotta
there.
keep that in there.
Okay.
6,625 we keep in, 11,000 we keep in. Mobile video recorder, 7,605 we're keeping in.
Yeah, now the mobile video recorder, what that was including, switching us to wireless, but that's because, that's why this price is now 145 to 132.
Right.
So that is, so we can do it mobile, we can do it wirelessly.
Right. So we're still keeping that 7,605 in,
Yeah.
okay. And we're taking out the 22,000 for the police radios because of the tower issues that
So we
are...
got 145,
Well, I would put it on there, I just wouldn't put it in
Plus-
emergent items.
7,
Oh, well, I'm done talking about emergency items.
Yeah.
We're done. 145, that's it.
Yes.
We're now talking about the regular, we're talking about bonding now,
Right,
okay?
the regular stuff, that's correct.
So you still want that in,
I would still, yes, I still want that
you still
in.
want the 22,000 in?
We don't really know what the real number will be until you do this testing and figure out what's going to be corrective action.
That's what I
we got?
I went off that number
4
that was
things?
recommended by the,
Yeah.
communication center with the radios, they're
4
recommending
things?
right now, however I want to feel.
4 things plus SUV.
no, 4 things with the SUVs.
No.
What is it, what do
You
you
got
got?
police radios, 22,000.
Got it.
Okay, the 145, it says 132, that's already an emergency thing.
Well, wait, 145, that's
Okay.
another one, go ahead.
Mobile video recorder for 7,605.
Got it.
Tablets for vehicles,
All
6,625.
right, what else?
And firearms,
Oh,
11,000.
firearms, that's what.
And the firearms are how old right now?
What's that total?
Over 10 years, yes.
And how often are you supposed to replace them? How often are you supposed to replace them?
Oh, I believe they're,
Anything over 5 is life
Okay.
expectancy.
All right, so I have no issue with any of those items. Does anybody else?
I'm not gonna know until, well,
Well, no,
look, these are necessities.
These are necessities.
Yeah, so, no.
Yeah.
By the way, when you do the bond ordinance, you could increase it by a little, you could increase it by a little bit, make sure
I'm just-
you're not underfunding it, because if you have to underfund it, you have to do an amending ordinance you don't want to do. So I would suggest that whatever numbers you're coming up with, you have a little extra in it, so that we don't have too much of money.
Throw
In the
10%
ordinance,
on.
it's only authorization, it's not it doesn't say what you're gonna spend. So I would authorize a little more than you need, appropriate more than you need, because we don't want to be short. So just note that $22,000 item, for example, I'd like to put $25,000 down there, just to have a little bit of a cushion. It doesn't mean we're gonna spend that money.
Right.
It's just that we don't want to be short, then we gotta come back and do it all over again.
Right.
There's your pen there, huh?
Joe, you definitely have to have the fire truck, that's gotta go into bonding this year, or can we put it off?
We're 25 years old,
That's what's replacing the 25,
That's
but
what the-
but you still have 2 other main,
what's that?
you still have 2 pumpers that are still good though, right? I mean,
I have one other pumper,
one other?
yeah, another engine, we have the tanker,
Okay.
and a
So-
air compressor.
With just this police stuff, I got 192,230, is that what you have?
Finding that up, I just...
192,230, so, we're talking
Yeah?
close to another, if you wanted a penny and a half right there,
Let me say one thing.
or more.
On the 5 police items, even though one of them can be an emergency that you're doing up by resolution, when the bond ordinance is done, all 5 of these
Yes.
items will be in the bond ordinance.
Exactly,
Just so
yeah.
you know.
Understand,
Whether
yeah.
you sort of repeat it
That won't
twice,
be a
but
year.
it'll be in the
Huh?
bond
It
ordinance.
won't be here, 192, won't be sent a half a year, it'd be spread
Spreads
over
out, no, 10 years.
3 years.
No,
say.
no, that's next year, that would be payback in,
Well, not if it's gonna go through a bond, you'd only have to pay, if we
No, if you don't
come up
wanna-
with
if
a line
you-
item like we said, it would be over 3 years, so you wouldn't pay 192 next year.
These are items
no,
we
you're not
need.
paying 192, that's not what I'm
These
saying.
are items that we need.
I understand it's time out.
Nobody's
I'm
disputing
just
that.
wanna
We
know,
just wanna know how we're paying it. That's
yeah,
all.
it's all I wanna know is how we're paying it. I'm just using the last example you gave to me. You said $800,000, if we had to pay that back in the budget, it'd be like a penny and a half.
Yeah. if you
Right,
have that
so
one.
I'm using that as an
I
example.
thought you were trying to say we had to pay the 192,000 next year.
No, no, no,
That
no.
would be another cent and a half too, or that would...
No, but if we bonded
Okay.
that, you're talking another penny and a half over this. You
Mhm.
follow me?
Mhm.
Right? That's if we, so, to me, we're stuck at the emergency stuff for next year's budget. Unless you're looking to go 2-3 cents.
Yeah, but we also have the school tax deferred stuff.
He's
We
gonna
have
come up with a
the other
plan.
stuff,
We're
too.
just giving him what we
Yeah, all right.
want, then we'll have to figure out
And
that.
next week, you'll be in a better
All right.
position to see where you're at, and if you can make that decision.
Okay. So right now, we're at 19, 230. So, go ahead, keep going. You have more questions, Bill?
Well, I'm waiting to hear from Joe on this. Can we get a pumper for 400,000? I have no idea what fire vehicles cost. I know they're a lot of money.
$400,000, don't know. I really didn't have a price. I haven't seen any of that, not in
Right.
5-7 years, and we're talking about equipment that price I gave you, I don't know what the price increase, 3 to 5% at a certain point every year, they're getting increased. And just to
3%
switch to
of,
just to throw out
20,000 bucks.
DPW,
18,000 bucks, yeah.
that Mason dump and that utility truck, I'm probably in the same boat as the chief is here. We're probably getting close to the 2018 year. I don't know what the increase is gonna be by the time they get ordered. That was the Morris County Co-op for 2017, on 2017 model vehicles.
Is the utility truck a must if we're getting the Mason dump replaced, or?
Well, it's replacing the pickup truck to have a plow route in the wintertime.
The Mason dump is.
No, the Mason dump has a plow route and a salt route. The pickup truck that we're replacing with the utility truck has a plow route also.
So whether you buy a new pickup truck or a new utility truck, it's the same price.
And what does the utility truck do? What does a 450 utility truck do?
That utility truck is what I was designing it to go out and do, has the toolboxes on it and have a crane on it for these guys to go out and lift the storm drains, do the storm drain repair. When we're out and about, helping the guy open the sewer manholes that he complains that he can't open because one thing he's trying to open with a screwdriver. We can take one guy out with that side crane and lift them off and look down in them. And like I said, when we're doing our stormwater repair, or when we get the call outs for when kids knock them off and drop them down into the storm drain, chief can vouch for that we get them calls. That's how we'll help with that.
So, me not being a DPW guy, how about taking a front loader with a chain and dropping it?
That's how they're doing it now.
Two guys overtime.
Let me ask another question, and I just heard you guys, but can part of the money for the utility truck come out of the sewer fund?
Absolutely,
Because you're using it for sewer work?
absolutely.
Okay, that's not that fine.
You can give me a rough estimate of
Yeah,
your...
you don't even want to take anything from the sewer fund. Now we're doing exactly what we criticized
You
earlier.
can take 20, they were
If you're taking
justified.
a point, it's like taking money
That's
from
true.
the...
No, that's a good point. That's silly. That's a good point, yes.
No.
Don't do it.
No, it's about, no, that was
You're working on
questionable.
the sewer.
He didn't want- I don't want to take any more money out of that sewer account because it was raped by the previous committee
Right.
a number of times.
But this is
Okay?
sewer related, so.
It's still related,
Yeah, sewer related.
and Frank and I, have no problem with that, so.
I don't have a problem with that either.
Well, is it only gonna be used for sewer? It's not only gonna be used for sewer, that's,
No, it's gonna have a plow route and this and that,
Share
right?
of the truck's use is for sewer, so
you could take a portion of it?
25%
Oh, okay, you can take a portion.
Take
And
25%.
we,
Got you.
and the DPW plows the sewer for the operator to get in and out of the sewer pump station.
So you gotta determine percentage. Okay. All
Roughly.
right, yeah.
40%? Got 300 some manholes, right?
Okay,
There you go.
fair enough. That's a valid use.
And that was for
Thanks, Kathy.
we're talking about the 450 utility truck. So then we can agree, John, to add that in there. At
What was the... I didn't-
65,000?
65,000.
And 40% for sewer.
The DPW building, when we have that at 2...
So what would you do, John? You would take 40% off of that?
I would bring in, and
The
I'm
building.
sorry, I don't wanna-
210? That's it.
I believe we can get it done for that.
Everything would be paid out of your current budget, but I would bring in, have an appropriation in your sewer and say, we're gonna send $10,000 over to,
But when you're looking to put an amount for the bond, you take 40% off of that and add it to the,
well, we have the whole bond, but then I just bring money into
Oh,
the sewer to pay it off.
pay it off. All right.
Joe, has there been any
7,000.
thought to, and I know only because Kathleen's in there, and I know White Township does, and other communities do at Pohat, any thought to subbing out snow routes?
No, never really put it out, we always had the equipment to do it. I know some of them rates that they're getting are somewhere in the area of $65 to $75 an hour.
On the low end,
What's that?
on the low end.
Well, I mean, that's about what I'm hearing, 75, but I mean, without knowing, only because I know one of the contractors, he said on the high end, White Township once had a bill of like 20,000 on the high end.
Proceeded?
We haven't touched that in years.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, it was a high end, it's considerably less. Let's just say it was $8,000, that's significantly less than $75,000 truck that we have because we have a plow route. So, I don't know, I mean, this is kind of last minute throwing that in. I know Kathleen and I have shared some information, but Pohat, Alpha, White Township, they do subcontractors instead of buying, $125,000 trucks that, have one purpose. Because, I mean, you got 5 big trucks back there, obviously, 4, so just food for thought right here. It says something that we want to look at, or besides the Mason, besides that salt and plow run.
We use mason dumps during the summertime.
No, I know you do, but we have 4 other trucks out there. Can we get away with using a bigger one?
Prime example, Gordon's Alley, the alleyways, no, I can't get it in there. That mason dump does Water Tower Road.
Oh, you're talking plowing wise now,
Alley
right?
and salt.
Right, but I'm talking about summer work, though. Can we just get away with a bigger truck because we don't need a mason dump?
In some areas, we do have remote areas that we do work in the mason dump. Fits that.
I mean, this is kind of last minute thinking here, but it's certainly food for thought. But I don't know that we can clean that debate up in tonight and or a week, if we need to know.
Can you buy equipment with open space funds?
What's that?
Like a mason dump, say it's gonna be used for the new park, 40%?
How does your open space work? When that referendum passed, where it say vehicles and equipment,
I don't know,
Said maintenance of,
maybe so.
all maintenance rate costs or something that indicated.
Well, how much really are you going to spend in
Well, I'm
that
just
part
saying.
of that truck? If you're going to happen to plow, a late spring snowfall, that's going to
We
take
weren't
about 10
even,
minutes.
we weren't even thinking of plowing it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
We
yeah.
weren't even thinking of plowing it in the winter.
You're gonna have to if you have a walking path.
No, just don't use it.
sewer, bringing money over.
You gonna miss that low flat path that's used in the winter time?
I'm just saying, it's a cost issue, so if
Then you have the liability of people walking on it if it's not closed.
Well, we can put the mason dump in, and should we choose not to move forward with that? Okay.
Why we do it.
Well, then, what, are we back to, does it make sense to put it all in and then just not buy what we decide we don't want to pay for?
Well, that's what
I'm
I'm hoping,
saying.
you telling me,
Well, I mean, we can whittle some of it
It's probably easier to
out.
do that and cut it out than it is to keep
Right.
arguing.
that's what I was
right
saying,
over
we come back with, this is what it costs, and we have to whittle it
Yeah.
down.
Can you do it that way?
You need to put 5% down, and you can do that.
We already did that, right?
That's in the budget.
That's already in.
Don't you put it all together and get over
It'd
it?
be easier to
and
just
figure out
do
what
it
we're
all,
gonna
come in, tell us how much it's gonna cost us a year, and then go backwards, I think,
Yeah.
that is the way you,
That's what I was saying
I mean-
earlier on.
because it could get to the point where no matter how much justification you have for any of
It's
this,
down the line.
we don't have the money, and it's not a necessity, we're probably not gonna do it. That, to me, makes more sense than anything.
And again, a bond or zoning authorization doesn't mean you're gonna do it.
Yeah. I think it sounds easier to put it all in and take out than it is to sit here and argue, because I think it'll save a lot of time, because if he comes in and says it costs you 6 cents next year to do this.
Right.
Not gonna do it.
We're not gonna do it, so we're
He could-
just gonna start crossing stuff
How about
off.
he could give us that answer now? You just add that up and you could probably tell us what it's gonna cost right now. You can get that answer.
Can you do that?
Yeah, just add them all up and he could tell you.
That came out with 1.5 million
For everything here?
for everything, yeah.
Not counting the 800,000?
Not counting the
800,000.
Not counting 800,000.
Let's hold on one second. I've got the emergency for the police car, the police other, and the utility vehicle. I don't have anything, what's the Mason dump truck?
No, there's no list.
The whole
The
list.
list.
Oh, you don't have this
No.
list?
Here, my captain.
I got an extra one.
Jordan does his own thing.
No, I don't think so, because, I don't have another copy, so, and this is an email, so I really don't want to give an email at this point.
Well, it's public document.
You can open it tomorrow.
Well, we don't know if you should have it on.
That's fine with
You want to
me.
make a copy of it?
Make a
let's go ahead
copy,
and make a
yeah.
copy. It's no big deal.
Just take out the top. Kathleen, just the addresses.
Yeah,
There's really nothing
just
to
Copy the list.
make a list.
Copy the list.
Yeah, just cut off the top and the bottom.
Yeah, that's it.
Not including.
I mean, it's no big deal, but it's not my email, so I don't want to get a copy of it out.
I appreciate you giving it to the citizens, and we can all follow along.
I think everything we discussed is, so far, I mean, we haven't discussed the $86,000 command vehicle, and to be honest with you, Joe, I'm looking at a $35,000 vehicle for you. I can't see an $86,000 command vehicle.
Well, not yet, but
You know.
the conversion and the radios, I got 50,000 in that one 10 years ago.
50,000 what, equipment in that?
Huh?
You have 50,000?
The whole truck plus $50,000, and, 13.
Well, I'm buying police vehicles, 3 for 145,000 equipped. So, divide that by 3, so let's say that's 50,000. Okay, I'd go to 50, but I can't see 86,000 for a command vehicle.
Doesn't fail.
I mean, if we weren't in this situation, Joe?
Well,
you know,
no, well, like I said, the town, the township committee in the past, we were trying to get a firehouse, and the fire department...
Anybody else
said,
want
$4 million, we're taking enough
Well-
ourselves.
Right.
Will's trying to get that to copy.
I had the same issue
Oh.
over the tanker back in 2006, 2007, with the fire company had spent $5,000.
I'm just worried about this, it's not my email, and it's from attorney, so I don't know if it's attorney-client privilege or whatever.
I know.
You sat right there too, Bill.
Yep. And then about the ambulance.
I don't have a problem putting the ambulance off,
I don't know if it doesn't like.
As long as it's in a plan.
so long as it's in the plan, yeah. We're nowhere near critical. I think we've got 2 to 3 years before I think, and even then, it's not critical, but where you gotta stop fooling around with it.
Right.
My biggest concern is who's going to be on this board 3, 4 years from now. This is certainly a very friendly emergency service group, and I can't say I've seen that for a long time here.
Well, I think if we put together a plan, that plan goes forward, it's gonna have visibility to committees and, hopefully we'll take it into consideration.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't-
I don't need that ambulance today. I don't need it this time next year.
That's good to know.
3, 4 years,
Right. I
it
appreciate
should be
that.
there.
That's the kind of thinking we need.
Yep.
All right, so take, whatever that bottom line number is, take that 186,000 out. Yeah, so oh, actually, you wouldn't want it out, right? 'Cause
No,
you
I
still-
think you want it in there, and then he's gonna come up with an idea, of maybe that gets budgeted in 3 years from now, and he'll have costs, because
You want it out there for now.
now, right?
Right.
Then we'll kick it
The
around,
open-
say 3 years from now, we'll put it back.
All right, so what we at, 1.5, you said?
Well, I think
1.5?
1.5, when I quickly did it, when I first got here, and that does include the 496 for the open space.
What for?
Or was it on the bottom? I
That's
scratched
out,
that out.
that's out, I don't even know why
Where's
that's
that?
on
Yeah,
there.
no, we got that
doesn't
out.
include that, right?
No, I don't even know why that was on there.
Bill? Because when we first discussed it, we had to put it down.
It's an old email
All right.
from when we were first
Yeah.
talking about it.
Oh, okay.
That 1.5 was without the open space though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
That's the problem with giving a list out to the public, because now they got that, that shouldn't even be on there, because it's,
Right.
it's a mistake.
This is why we don't give budget information.
Yeah.
until
Just make that announcement, that thing, you know.
Make that announcement to cross that out.
The 456 on the bottom for the open space is in error, that's,
496.
we don't even know how that,
I was waiting for that.
we don't even know how that got on there, so.
Well,
No, that,
Yeah, it was put on by mistake.
It was from a workshop back in
That's why you wanna
February
give it
when we
out.
were discussing.
this is from April 18th, when they started originally discussing, before any bid numbers came in on the park or anything. So we were gonna take the balance at that time of what we had left or what we budgeted in the capital improvement fund and throw that towards the
What's in
park
the comment?
potentially. Nothing was ever put in, set in stone, so to speak. What did you pull up with for a total?
1.5?
I'm like 1,503,470. I mean, is that what you guys come up
When
with?
would the order come?
Well, I got different scenarios here. I got 1.5 million for the list.
For the list, right.
Then we're taking 186 out for the ambulance because we don't think that that's gonna hit this
Right.
year. We can push that off for a year.
Okay.
Now I'm at 1,317,000. Plus
Okay.
I'm factoring in the 798,000 that's out there from prior years, and I'm coming to 2.1 million. 2,115,795. But like Mr. Drake was said, I would increase it a little bit just so that we don't have to come back here. And
2-2?
True, too.
not that much. I said a little bit. You said,
150?
2,150,000.
150?
But didn't we only set aside 5% on, based on 2 million?
Right.
I thought we only had the 2 million.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought, that was the maximum.
100,000, good for 2 million.
798 was from prior, that would already take care of the 5%.
Right.
So
Oh,
that's
Okay.
Yeah, take this 798 out.
oh,
Okay.
uh-huh.
We need a down payment
helps.
on 1.3 million.
Which is 65,000.
So, yeah, 1 cent down payment already.
Not before the bond.
Right.
So, the down payment comes out of next year's budget, is that what we're
No,
saying?
but
Down payment comes out of
This
capital
is-
improvement fund, which you put away for.
you put 100,000.
all right, so it's already in the budget.
Have it. You-
So we're at 35,000.
So my question is then, if we wanted to pay back the principal and interest starting next year, what would it be?
What kind of interest rate are we gonna get on this?
Information we can.
1.5% interest.
No, 160, 160.
Okay.
Yeah, say 160.
But they're flexible on the principal. That's,
Yeah.
I got about 205,000 in principal, 30,000 of interest.
235.
2,050,000.
240,000 total,
235, yeah.
240 total.
That's 4 cents. 3.9 cents. That's $108. Tax increase on an average home.
Now, if we just wanted to,
That's a tax, if nothing else goes up.
Yeah, right.
but we could determine how much of that principal,
Now, but again, I keep going back to this, you gotta let me put something together for me.
Yeah, that's really not a real number,
You
right?
have $217,000 of the DPW building in here, or $210,000 that you're gonna get insurance proceeds.
Right.
We're not factoring that in. So maybe we don't pay back anything on the 210 until we know what it's gonna cost us. You know, maybe we
Okay.
take that piece out, so there's 21,000. And stuff like that. You're gonna bring in a piece from sewer to help this out, because you're using the sewer utility. Well, you gotta factor that. There's a lot of stuff that, maybe next year, after we've addressed all of these issues and all of these things, we don't have to put as much into capital improvement fund next year because you're already making purchases. So rather than have $100,000 sitting in the budget next year, we bring that down significantly because you're still gonna have money left over. You had 100, and then you had another 14,000, I think, at the end of 2016. So you're at 114,000 in capital improvement fund for down payments. You'd be using 65.
Got it.
All right, so you're still gonna have money left in there. So maybe you don't use 100,000 into capital improvement fund, maybe you bring it down 75,000. And rather than spending the 75,000 there, it goes towards this 235,000 that we're looking at. So you've got things that are gonna be in place that you can start saying, here's the plan, that's why you...
The school base plus everything else, we got stuff, money
It's not
coming
a
in,
simple
transfer.
question, it's not a simple answer of saying, I can divide it by 10, and you can all...
Yeah, that's fine. So you'll come up, you'll take all that into consideration to present a plan next meeting.
I promise.
Beautiful.
That's next Wednesday, right, the 28th?
Yes. That we agree
At
on?
7 p.m. At 7, according to...
Well, that was the joint meeting we were having
Open space.
with
Oh,
Open
that-
Space.
That's the-
I don't know that was his meeting.
No,
also.
that's the,
I'll be back.
he's gonna be there
I'm gonna be
anyway.
there, okay.
What
Yeah,
else?
What?
you know.
You got no other life, right?
Which one else?
Has it been?
Yeah.
Send me 2 hours before, so see that coming.
Are we good then?
What's that?
Are we good?
I think you got your marching orders, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with this. I think
Okay.
we can address open space shouldn't hit any of this.
No, I know, yeah,
All
right.
right, it won't affect tax increase or anything
No
like that.
tax
It's
increase.
a separate trust fund. So
It's already got a revenue stream.
it's already, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's entirely for that, and we can talk about that at the,
Well, let's talk about the ordinance itself. So, let's talk about scheduling it that way. Next week, we're gonna give them a plan, or information for them to analyze. We don't necessarily are gonna get a decision next week, right? They're just gonna analyze next week, right? Analyze next week, and then at some future meeting in July, perhaps we meet, what's the July question?
Once.
Once.
I think the 20th.
We could.
19th or 20th?
Although, I'm not sure how
20th?
quickly these items are needed, whether or not you want to do a bond ordinance introduction or not. In order to get a bond ordinance done, as you may recall, it takes 2 readings, plus then after they have to publish it, it takes 20 more days. So it could take almost 2 months for
Yeah.
the ordinance to become effective. I'm not sure there's any real, except for the
Other than
emergency
the
items we
police
talked
budget,
about,
right.
whether there's any real timing considerations on this at all.
Well, I know Joe said the snow removal equipment takes about 5 months. You know, so if we're ordering,
If we're ordering in September, we can get into February.
exactly, and
Beginning
that,
of February.
right.
And if you're ordering a fire engine, it's gonna take, what, 8 months to get? A fire engine, 8 months? Yeah.
I just want to make sure you know it's going to be basically a 2-month process before it becomes effective. So the only thing you can really buy right now is the items that are on your emergency resolution.
How do we speed the process up?
Special meetings.
Special meetings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, either 20 days or 20 days, so.
It takes,
What?
you have to have 2 between meetings, right, first and second meeting. So the quickest you can get it done is basically 6 weeks.
Well, let's make sure we get it done in 6 weeks.
So when you introduce it,
What?
to when you end it, it's about 6 weeks.
John, why you look like that?
I'll defer to the attorney.
2 weeks, plus in the newspaper, you have to time it properly, and you get it down to about 6 weeks.
Again, just because I've never seen something before doesn't mean it's not out there.
Oh, it's never done in that time frame?
Yeah.
But you have to call special meetings, make it happen.
How about the advertising?
Advertising has to be put, sent in advance, get to your local newspaper. So,
Well, let's make the best effort.
I would hope that you would coordinate this with, since you're the
I will.
CFO.
so
It's under your umbrella.
I guess the question would be, when do you need the ordinance effective by?
Now,
ASAP? If we're gonna get these, especially the winter stuff. We know
No
the,
matter what we do, he'll never have it by winter. Do you think? It's
Sir?
already June.
Joe?
Mason domes are a dime a dozen out there.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's on the lot, maybe, right?
Yeah. Just saying.
Do we have to bid it out, or is it co-op? Okay, all right. That's quicker.
Just get it here.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
So, if we're talking beginning of July, 6 weeks is the middle of August. So Joe, if you get,
We'll be close.
we'll be close?
So things will hinge on next week's decisions.
Right.
Obviously, the ordinance itself is prepared, in a day, after you tell me. So, once you make a decision, we can get the ordinance prepared within 48 hours, if you want to do a 48-hour notice for a meeting, special notice, so we get that done in early July, if you like. That's all up to you guys. With your timing, the ordinance would be very,
Bob, you were on vacation for a big chunk of July.
Yeah.
But we can bug you and call.
Well, if it's a special meeting, call in, right?
Call in, yeah.
Right.
we need 4 votes out of 5.
Right,
Right.
On final, introduction needs three. You need-
right, for final, right.
So you don't just do it in this one, get three to get it going, and wait for the other
And
one.
and there's one question to ask ahead of time. You know, as I said before, each of these items could be individually broken down as orders, and they all be grouped together. So if there's a desire to group anything together, for example, the police vehicles go together, you want to make it a one number for a category. What you need to make sure of is if you split them apart like I talked about, we have to make sure we're conservative enough so that we're not missing an item by $1,000 or $2,000. Sometimes if you group things together, if it's in categories a certain way, you can then have flexibility within that package of items. You know, so, but when you split it apart, if it's okay to do it from more control, you need to make sure you have enough cushion so that we're not coming back to amend the ordinance. It should be just, costly and time-consuming.
Joe, do you want to get a updated bid spec on the fire truck and command vehicle,
We need some good numbers. We need good numbers on this.
in case,
Updated on the engine.
in case the engine came up, in case the price went up or whatever?
Yeah, we need to estimate.
Put the whole amount in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you have, just update the list. Good, Joe?
Good to go?
All right.
I guess you don't need to stay for executive, or nobody needs to stay for executive, right? Thanks for coming.
I think we have one for tonight. Hold on.
Oh, wait, is it,
Before you go into executive,
Yeah,
one
Bob.
of the prices for tonight about that.
I see that the executive session won't require any public comment on any of the other.
So you want to do public comment before, so you can leave?
Wait.
That's fine.
Wait.
That's an easy accommodation.
hold on a second. At our last meeting, we asked for a proposal for cutting a new park.
Right.
You want to do it
Now,
now?
here, so I don't know what you're...
I don't think that's executive,
At
right?
the township meeting last Thursday, requested for tonight
Yeah.
to have
For
a...
the-
Well, that's contractual, bring it up on the, on the executive.
All right.
For the
Okay. I don't even know what that is, I wasn't here, so...
All right, so then, you need a motion, I'll make the motion, go to public comment.
Yeah, got a motion, I second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Good evening, Mayor, governing body, Lydia Coates, 306 173. Zoom or event on the morning, ready for each other.
Coming out of the gas station, that we did.
I was on my way to the point of return because I got so early. Just a few housekeeping issues. I would so much appreciate it as a citizen, as you know, I've been attending the meetings, and to interrupt the meeting is not really my intention, but the purpose of doing so is to have some of these documents, so we could in fact follow along what you are all speaking about. So I would appreciate it if someone, I don't know who it would be, could post these emails or public documents, whatever they are, on the web so that we can all access them ourselves and not over them, because you know, over isn't tomorrow, Mayor, over is 8 days or perhaps longer for the attorney's review, whether or not we even get the document. So, we can, you, as the governing body, to do that, I think I would be less inclined to lose my minutes if I have that document, or if anyone else has the document. Fair? I think it's fair. The other issue is, as you know, I've been attending meetings and I've heard numerous times that there was going to be bonding to the park, that we have now been going to phase 2, and that we were over budget on the open space fund, and that there was numerous discussions on bonding to the park. And I do see an email dated April 18th to Mr. Gregory, the bond council, and there is a item, the last item, open space acquisition $496,530. Tonight I'm being told that's a mistake. Have you changed your mind?
It's a mis-
Hold on,
Yeah, that's right, we're waiting for the comment. He was interrupting you, I was correcting him.
The cameras are all on you because it's my turn now, right?
That's right.
Okay. So.
There is a 3-minute limit, though, remember.
You know, you have to just yield back your talking to me. So, what happened? Are we not bonding, or are we not thinking of bonding for the park, or we all decided against that now? Or is this number, 496,530, mistaken as another number instead of that number? Maybe that number is different. So, that's something that I would like to also put on the record. A couple other things, I know the chief was asked for a lot of police, excessively accoutrement, as they would say in France, and I have no problem with that, but I did find out that the CAD system, I don't know, your varsity expenses with the CAD system?
Yeah.
And my understanding is that police cars don't have to be used with the CAD system. Well, you can all look it up if you want to, I don't need to put you on the spot, but the CAD system is in the cars, it's a very important item for a police car to have. And we're adding all these other things, and it may be important for the chief. I'm certainly not the one to make that decision. But I understand the CAD system is county system device, as opposed to an individualized device in the car. And I think that's a huge liability for this town. Maybe the chief can explain a little bit more about that. Oh, the park. Again, going back to the park on that side. Was there ever an appraisal on the property for the Thomas Food Park? I'm going to over that anyway. Find out if there was. I would be interested in that. And if it has that answer tonight, I appreciate it. And I did get one more item about the lake that I read. And prior, what happened
3 minutes of
what
that.
happened was this town was severely underinsured. Take a look at that. We were very underinsured for the losses that occurred in that fire. So what's ever needed, and because of what's ever needed, because of the underinsured items that were then destroyed, have now got to be replaced. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia.
I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
On the 496,530, it's open space acquisition. That has nothing to do with the park. That's acquiring the land. Okay? End the subject. As far as the insurance goes, we have an insurance policy that's replacement cost. Some things, as Joe stated, are not replacement cost, it's actual cash value, and you don't get your money's back, you don't get everything back. It's not full replacement cost, so we're not underinsured. If we were underinsured, as an attorney, you should know that there's errors and omission that we can turn around and sue our broker. So we are, I'm positive that we are fully insured. That's my comment.
The appraisal. So that was purchased with Green Acres funding. So I assume this was well before we were sitting here. I assume there's an appraisal. If you open it, you'll see it, but since it was purchased with state money, I'm sure they had to do one. So my answer would be yes. You just gotta look back.
Computer-aided dispatching is part of the program for the county. You know, that's in all, I'm sorry?
Other counties I'm well aware of have the CAD system right in the car.
Will, does our county have the CAD system?
I used to have computer-aided dispatching.
You had it in the car?
Yeah, we had 105,000 people in our county when we had it in our cars.
But she's saying that you don't have to.
If they have the new programs that are out, you know, I don't know
So-
if they update it.
So we asked the chief to give us what's needed. So I'm assuming if you thought this was necessary. No, I'm not questioning you. I'm questioning you.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
I'm just asking you.
Everybody's done. We're not here, we're not gonna argue. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to go into
I make a
executive
I'm
session.
not questioning your
Anybody want
comment.
to second the executive
Aye.
session? Roll call.
Aye.
I want to ask the chief a
Kathy,
question, though.
wait, hold on.
Because you brought up a good point.
Frank, we have a motion, and it's been seconded to go into executive session.
Roll call. Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenyon?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No?
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes.
You want to go back and talk, real quick, go ahead.
Yeah, you can.
No, my
I'm not-
question
I'm not gonna
is-
sit here-
It's 9:13, we're coming out of executive session, no action was taken in executive session.
Okay, we need a motion to come out of executive
Make a
session.
motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call? No, we can do it all in favor for that.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who seconded it, I'm sorry?
I did.
Well,
No, he made the motion, I second.
Sure, take it.
the topics we discussed in there were, police secretary and the contract issue. So, no action on the police discussion, secretary's discussion, and we do have a motion that, Will, you're gonna make?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion for, should I say the company?
Yeah.
Make a motion for Laser Landscaping to conduct one cut right now for the Thomas Stewart Park at $780 for the cut.
Everyone second that motion?
I'll second it.
Discussion, questions? Roll call?
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Kenyon?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mayor Barsney?
Yes. And motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
9:13.